Sorry for the late start to the week. Typically, we give you a roundup, but
Roundup.
we could not do that. Happy belated Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Hope you told your mom you love her yesterday on Sunday. But we're recording on Monday for a Tuesday episode of the Just Baseball Show, and we're going to kind of walk through the headlines of the weekend. I've got 5 headlines in the National League. Peter has 5 headlines in the American League. Of course, we are brought to you by
BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Remember, folks, download BetMGM, whether that be on iOS or Android, and use promo code JUSTBASEBALL, all capital letters. Why? First bet offer up to $1,500 back if you lose your first bet. But remember, gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 years or older. Terms and conditions apply. Jack, I desperately wanted to do the roundup noise, but considering it was Mother's Day and we had to miss it, and this is the headline episode, I feel bad doing the roundup. I'm not even going to do it.
Headlines. Is that better?
Headlines.
Headlines. Sounds like a bad cough. Chain smoker cough.
My guess is 50% of people just turned off the show because they're like, oh, that's not a good sound.
Time for the headlines. Okay, that's okay. All right. So, again, here's what we got going right now. What we have going is 5 headlines from each of us. I have 5 headlines for the National League. Peter has 5 headlines for the American League, and it's really just the weekend that was in Major League Baseball, but the week that was, because my first headline has to do with, and I know Peter has a take that refutes this, the hottest team in baseball right now. Peter, the St. Louis Cardinals have won 8 games in a row. And since May 6th, I'm just looking at some of the league leaders right now. And, dude, like, they've got some guys that are just flat out raking. And, oh, by the way, Eric Fetty threw a complete game shutout on Friday night. These guys are awesome right now, man.
Yeah, I mean, I posted on our Twitter as well that the Cardinals are the sneakiest, best team that nobody is really paying attention to. And Arm really cooked with this one. It's a good and talented roster that a lot of people just left for dead, right? Are they in a rebuild? Are they not? They didn't make a lot of big moves. You're not signing really any free agents. And you look at the roster and you say, what is Arenado going to be? Brendan Donovan's a nice player. Lars Nootbaar is a nice player. We're sick of the Jordan Walker saga. And again, just not a team that a lot of people had many hopes for. And yet they keep putting together wins because you get to the end of the game and they got a pretty solid back-end duo. You go to the starting rotation, and it seems like they have a cog of very solid pitchers, right? Sonny Gray would be the ace of that staff, but it does feel like, you know, Michaelis is Michaelis, but more often than not, they're putting out a pitcher that can win on any given day. And then the lineup is solid throughout. And they hit for power, they hit for average, they steal bases, they play good defense. It's just a solid team, and they're kind of getting overshadowed by the great Chicago Cubs, and deservedly so. The Cubs are awesome, but the Cardinals are right there, and there's a good chance that the Cardinals are going to be fighting for a wild card spot this year when it doesn't seem like anybody out of St. Louis even cares.
Do you still feel like that's the case? I felt like, you know, when this winning streak got to 4, nobody cared still. But now that it's up to 8, people are actually starting to raise their eyebrows a little bit and say, how about these St. Louis Cardinals, man? I think it was the Fetty complete game shutout on Friday night that put everybody over the edge.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that too. I guess, you know, surveying social media like I do, I just haven't seen much Cardinals love. I haven't even seen a ton of Cardinals love from Cardinals fans because I think there's this element of they weren't really expecting to be good this year, and they're kind of just playing with house money, and almost the atmosphere on social media, again, which is not conducive for all Cardinals fans, I'm just telling you what I've seen, is that they're almost waiting for it to go bad. That's been the vibe I've been getting, which I don't think is fair. I think we should start getting excited if we're Cardinals fans.
I think so. I think you definitely should start getting excited if you're a Cardinals fan as it stands right now. And they go to Philly. I think this week, you know, this 3-game set in Philly is going to be a big one, and one that's kind of indicative of where they stand. But they won both games that they got to play against the Mets. Granted, the first one was postponed, and then they swept the Pirates. They obviously knocked Derek Shelton literally out of the box, out of the dugout. and they swept in Washington too. So, 6 of the 8 coming against Washington and Pittsburgh. I understand where people may balk at that, saying, oh, the Cardinals did what a middling team is supposed to do and get hot against bad teams, whatever.
But here's the thing, though. Middling teams don't sweep middle to bad teams. And the Nationals...
No, but they can.
Yeah, they can, but it's not often that they're just sweeping these teams, pretty easily. And the Nationals came in. The Nationals have been playing decent baseball. They're a scrappy team, so to sweep them too. Yes, the Pirates, good for you swept the Pirates, but I think it's a work in progress here because it's not just about them on an 8-game win streak. Yep. It's about looking at the roster and realizing that this team is built to win consistently over 162. That's why I'm not even really worried about who they beat. I'm more just talking about the Cardinals moving forward. It's a good-looking roster.
Sure. And people, I think, were acknowledging that in spring training, but they were saying, oh, the Cardinals haven't been good the last 2 years. It's just not going to happen. At some point, the names on the roster will actually start to perform like the names on the roster, and they're doing that right now. And since the beginning of May, they're 7th in baseball with the 3.13 staff ERA. They're pitching a little bit. Yeah. And it's so weird to highlight a setup guy, not even a setup guy. It's so weird to highlight a middling bullpen piece for them right now. But the way that Ali Marmol has plugged and played Steven Matz has kind of embodied what's going on with St. Louis right now. Don't look now, but Matz's ERA sits at 1.35.
I love that shout because, we've been used to the Cardinals over at least the past couple of years. Like Steven Matz has been their 2-starter at times. And we're like, what's going on here? But that just goes to show the depth of their current starting rotation and how they can deploy Steven Matz in better situations, and watching him perform like this to then hand it off to the arms like Jojo Romero and Ryan Helsley. It's just a well-balanced team right now. They're fun to watch.
Yep. Big time. Big time. All right. My second headline in the National League. Buddy Black is out as the manager of the Colorado Rockies. It's really unfortunate, and I feel bad for Bud Black. Something needed to happen. They fired their hitting coach 2 weeks ago. They brought in Clint Hurdle. How's that going to work? They fire Bud Black and the bench coach, Mike Redmond. Colorado, this happened not after the 21-0 loss. This happened after they won by 6. They beat the Padres by 6 runs, which is
on Mother's Day. Mother's Day on top of it.
This was just totally Rockies of them for them to wait until they actually won a game to do it. But that was signed, sealed, and delivered. Again, I feel bad for Bud Black. And my next takeaway is going to be Derek Shelton. We'll save the Shelton thoughts. But Bud Black got raw end of the deal. Something needed to happen here. The problem stemmed far beyond the skipper. Let's make that abundantly clear.
I think Dave Roberts had this quote from the Dodgers. Look it up for me. He said that Casey Stengel in the dugout couldn't help this Rockies team. I might have misquoted him, but I know I saw Casey Stengel, and I know that Dave Roberts did not feel good about Bud Black being fired, and nobody feels good about it. Not even Rockies fans are like, oh, that's the problem. Even Aram commented on our Twitter post of Bud Black getting fired, and he was like, oh, this will start it. This is going to bring them back. They're on pace for a negative 557 run differential, Jack. Negative 557. The record is minus 336. I mean, they're on pace to be by far the worst team in Major League Baseball. And I put it out on Twitter as well. They're on pace to be the worst team in professional sports history.
Wow.
You turn on a game and, I even got some comments. Well, they're in a really tough division. Turn on a Rockies game. I don't know how many people are these days, but turn on and watch them. It is void of any talent. And in large part because Ezekiel Tovar is hurt. Brenton Doyle is not playing up to his potential. So when those two guys aren't playing, I know Ryan McMahon had a good weekend, but more often than not, he has not been playing well. So your 3 notoriously good players are either hurt or not playing well. And then it's a bunch of guys who could be in AAA, could be bench pieces. And then everybody in the rotation has an ERA above 5. And then Zach Agnes, your guy, and Aram,
my guy,
yelling at me about him. Sure, he's a good bullpen arm. Jake Bird is a good bullpen arm. The rest, no thank you.
Relax.
It pisses me off to watch them play baseball. And I hate to say it. I don't want to be upset watching a major league team, but I am. I was moderately upset watching the White Sox. I can watch some bad baseball. This upsets me. It ruins my day to watch the Rockies play.
Yeah, so I will say now that Bud Black is gone, just don't watch him play. And I'm just looking at the lineup from that 21-0 loss to the Padres. And Brenton Doyle's name carries some cachet with what he did last year, but at the end of the day, he's got a 635 OPS right
Yeah.
now. Sean Bouchard pinch hit for him. Jordan Beck, limited sample at 864
Hold on.
OPS. Beck's been fine.
Didn't even finish the sentence with Bouchard. You're just like, Bouchard hit for him.
Yeah, Ryan McMahon has a 692 OPS. Owen Miller pinch hit for him. He has a 490. Hunter Goodman has a 778. Goodman's been okay. But then Tolia's got a 641. We had higher expectations for him. Mickey Moniak has a 682. Nick Martini has a 610. Alan Trejo has a 470 OPS, and Ade Amador has a 554.
And a reminder, they play half of their games at Coors Field.
Yeah.
We're looking at OPS. Yeah.
And raw OPS does not account for ballpark. That number should be higher for these guys. It's hard to look at. And the quote from Dave Roberts exactly was, quote, "I'm bummed. I'm disappointed. I don't think Casey Stengel could change the outcome of that ball club. And that's not the manager's fault. But obviously, they felt they needed a change in voice or direction. But for me, there's not many people that are better than Buddy Black. So, yeah, that's very disappointing. It is certainly not his doing. I couldn't agree more with Doc there. Like, Bud Black has been consensus one of the good people in Major League Baseball. Frankly, you need one of the good people in Major League Baseball to put up with this and what he has put up with over the last few years. And I just feel really bad for Bud Black. His time in a Major League dugout is not done. He's going to be hired in some sort of role very, very quickly. And this guy, like, you root for the good baseball people in the game. And I'm rooting for Bud Black.
In his 9th season, fired after a win on Mother's Day.
Yeah.
It's so disgusting to me.
On
Mother's Day. I hate it. I hate the timing of it. I hate it so much.
You know what? It's brutal, but them's the breaks. Let's go to Pittsburgh here because a couple days before Mother's Day, Derek Shelton was relieved of his duties. Again, feel bad for Derek Shelton. His time in a Major League dugout is not done. Much like the Rockies, this stems far beyond the manager with Pittsburgh.
It does, but
more justified here than Bud Black.
That's what I was going to say. It is a little bit more justified here. I don't think that his decision-making has been all that great. I would actually be surprised if he gets another manager job soon. Will he eventually get one? Maybe. But soon, I don't think so. Like Bud Black, I think, could go into a different Major League dugout and be better than, or maybe be the 20th best manager in Major League Baseball. I don't know if Derek Shelton should be a manager right now. Watching Pirates games, of course, he doesn't have a lot of talent to work with, but this also isn't his first season. He's had more talent than this in the past, and they've never really achieved anything. Now, it's much more of an indictment on the front office. It really isn't even the front office. It's more ownership. I mean, they haven't exactly nailed the draft, right? Henry Davis didn't exactly work out, but you can't expect a front office to nail every draft, and they got Paul Skeens.
Sure, they got Paul Skeens. They nailed that number one pick in 2023. And a reminder that Skeens was not the slam dunk number one. We were talking about Cruz and Wyatt Langford and Clark and Walker Jenkins, and they go with the pitcher. And that was like, whoa, it was kind of a surprising pick. They got that one right. And I think it's important to offer the color of that 2021 draft.
Definitely.
If they don't sign Henry Davis, if they don't draft him and they pay closer to full slot for Lawler or Meyer or somebody else in that class, they're not getting Bubba Chandler in the 3rd round.
Honestly, I would redo that to get Bubba.
I think so.
Yeah, Bubba could have got number 1 in that draft. That's how good he is.
Bubba is amazing. So it's not clicking right now. I think the big issue here, I understand your thought about in-game management, but it's not like he was given a dynamite lineup at any point in his managerial career.
And isn't he supposed to put in, sorry to interrupt, isn't he supposed to put in David Bednar, his closer? It's not really his fault that he can't.
He's supposed to put in the 2-time All-Star and give him save opportunities.
Yeah.
Like he's supposed to play Key Brian Hayes every day because he's an $80 million player.
Correct.
Derek Shelton finished no better than 4th in the National League Central in each of his 5 seasons. He was 19-41. They were 5th in the NL Central in 2020. 61-101, 62-100, 76-86, 76-86. And then this year they started 12-26 and he was fired.
Yeah.
Again, he has to put Tommy Pham on the lineup card. He has to. he's playing with a horrible hand. You're asking this guy why he's not advancing in the World Series of Poker when he's not getting a good hand whatsoever. So I'm with you. I don't think that he'll be a big league manager next year. He was the hitting coach and a good one for Tampa Bay for a while. I think he could be a major league hitting coach. I think he could be a major league bench coach. But it's fair to say he didn't do what he could with a roster that wasn't very good at any point. And we talk about the young pitching and we say, hey, they've drafted decently well. Connor Griffin looks awesome. Well, guess what? Tamar's not there yet. Bubba's not there yet. Connor Griffin's not there yet. Skeens has been here for a year. Harrington's not fully there yet. Nick York, the trade, he's not even there yet. Okay, like, come on, man. Like, let's find some complementary pieces on the free agent market. And again, that stems far beyond whatever a big league manager can do.
I love that breakdown, and I especially love the poker reference because the way I view Bud Black and Derek Shelton is Bud Black is getting served 7-2 every hand. What are you supposed to do with that? And the flop is giving him absolutely nothing. You can't really, it's maybe he could bluff, but it's going to be tough. Now, Derek Shelton is getting king 3. He's got a high card, and there's a couple of high cards on the table, but he doesn't pair up. But you can bluff with that a little bit because he has the high card and there's just a queen and a jack and a 10 on the board. But it gets a little dicey there. So he didn't bluff correctly, but at the same time, he didn't pair up. Bud Black had no shot the entire time. That's kind of how I view it. You're right, though. Derek Shelton has not gotten the talent where we could truly see him as a manager. But he's had decent enough talent not to be as perpetually bad as the Pirates have been during his 5 years at the helm.
Correct. And they elevate a guy in Don Kelly, who is the bench coach, who is the interim for the rest of the season. This could absolutely be a guy that has the interim tag removed at the end of the season because he is a good Pittsburgh guy. He's got his finger on the pulse of that clubhouse. He got ejected in his second game as a big league manager, which is hilarious. Electric and hilarious. I mean, this guy, like, if there's anybody that has the right tune for the Pittsburgh Pirates right now, it's Don Kelly. I'm excited to see what this looks like with Don Kelly as the skipper. But again, this roster might just not be good enough. And it Skeens every 5th day. That's exciting. Aside from that, it feels like they're at a disadvantage every single other night until Bubba comes up.
I have another question, not Pirates related, but kind of Pirates related because they beat them in the series this weekend. We're about 40 games in, Jack. In your mind, is beating the Braves in a series impressive or not? And I'm not talking about the Pirates. I'm more transitioning to the Braves. Is beating the Braves in a series impressive to you right now?
Yes, it is, because they still have some serious lineup depth. Like, let's just take Sunday's ball game, for example, and the Pirates won 4-1. Like, Rysell was the losing pitcher, and Chris Sale started that game and went 5 2/3 of 3-run ball, and he K'd 8. That lineup, Verdugo doesn't look great at the top, but then you got Riley, Olson, Ozuna, Baldwin, Albies, and Harris in the 8 spot. And I know Harris hasn't been productive, but there's still something about all of those names that I just threw you that makes it impressive. So I do think that it's impressive to beat the Braves in a series.
I was so pissed at the Braves because, as everybody knows listening, I've been so high on them. I said maybe a week ago I still think that they can win the division. Man, I mean, at some point, right, we're getting through the season. It's May 12th, the day that we're recording, and I'm keeping the faith, but it's not fun keeping the faith right now. From my vantage point, is what I will say.
Gotcha. I understand. How about these Mets bats, man?
Yeah. How about everything about the Mets? How about the pitching lab? How about the fact that Griffin Canning and Clay Holmes, I think Ryan Finkelstein tweeted this out. They're 14-0 in Clay Holmes and Griffin Canning starts post the first series against the Astros. That's amazing. That's amazing. Crazy. Go check that while you're breaking down the Mets bats. Let me go check my work with Fink's tweet. It's incredible. Griffin Canning looked great again.
I'm going to break down the Mets bats right now because they've got guys that are starting to really find their rhythm. And you just take a peek at what's going on in May. Brett Beatty, since coming back up, 3 homers in 4 games. He's 4 for 12, 3 of which homers. He's driven in 6. Juan Soto's here, an 1,100 OPS in 10 games in May so far. He's homered 5 times. He's walked 7 more times. Francisco Alvarez has been the unsung hero at this point. 7 games in May. He's got 10 hits, and he's driven in 4. He's got a 935 OPS without an extra base hit. Francisco Lindor has 3 homers in May. He's driven in 10 games. And then Mark Vientos is starting to really feel it, too. He's got a homer. He's hitting .313. He's got 10 hits in his 9 games in May. This offense is starting to heat up with a pitching staff that has been really good from the jump. And the bullpen, their whole thing, the Mets bullpen, is multi-inning relievers to get them to the 9th inning. And they continue to get that. And that rotation, you mentioned it, Canning, Holmes, Senga, they can throw you a competitive advantage for them every single night. David Peterson, too. Tyler McGill, there are guys that are just a weird look every single night and a tough look for opposing lineups. The Mets may be the best team in the NL East, and I was thinking they were a clear-cut 3 coming into this year. I thought it was Atlanta and Philly as the clear 1 and 2, and the Mets is 3. And I'm eating my words on May 12th.
So I am too. Absolutely. I'm eating my words more than you are. I physically took the Mets under 92.5 wins, and that is not exactly looking great. I mean, there's still a lot to go, right? Let's see if this rotation can hold up over 162. But I mean, that's just a negative way to look at it. Will this rotation look up? They're not giving us any evidence that it won't. Clay Holmes just looks better every single start. I was talking about Griffin Canning. Another great start against the Cubs. We've been talking about how good the Cubs offense is. And by we, I mean, we have, but it's been me glazing them to no end because of how impressive I think the lineup is with no breaks. Griffin Canning, another great start. And again, that stat from Ryan Finkelstein. You can follow him, Finkelstein Ryan, on Twitter. The Mets lost both Clay Holmes and Griffin Canning's first start in their opening series against the Astros. Since then, the Mets are 14-0 when those two take the mound.
Wow.
I believe in Tyler McGill. Like, when you watch these pitchers, is there anyone that you don't believe in?
No.
Not me either. I think this is real for Griffin Canning. We can't forget he's a former first-round pick. Clay Holmes, this kick change is for real. Tyler McGill's a stud. Like, David Peterson's not awesome, but he's good. The Mets rotation is kind of like the Cubs lineup in a way. No rest. Everybody is going to keep you in the game. So it's deep. And yes, the bullpen loses AJ Minter, but to your point, they can get guys like Max Kranick coming in for 2 innings just to hand it off to Edwin Diaz. Now, the question still remains, how good will they be at the end of the season? But I go back to my original point. We'll wait and see. And there's nothing that I see in the numbers or when I watch them on TV thinking to myself, this is going to stop. I mean, will Pete Alonso have a 192 WRC plus? Is he going to be the second best hitter in Major League Baseball this season? Probably not. Could Juan Soto be the second best hitter in Major League Baseball this season still? Yeah. 1,100 OPS in May. We just talked about it. Normally starts slow and then just goes crazy. And of course he's going to go crazy. Lindor's still a stud. Vientos hit his 5th home run this weekend. This team's awesome. This team's awesome. And it sucks when I take an under. It sucks when I take an under. I can't even enjoy it. And I want to enjoy it with Mets fans, but they all hate me. And for good reason. I took the under and I should not have this offseason. So, yeah, it kind of sucks, but it is what it is.
Yeah, you
wrong.
weren't nice to a team that signed Juan Soto and more, which is, in hindsight, a little crazy looking back on it. They have the best starter ERA by 30 points.
Yeah.
They're one of 2 teams in Major League Baseball with a starter ERA under 3. The other one's Kansas City at 2.97. The Mets are at 2.67. 30 points better than anybody else. They've allowed 6 fewer home runs, their starting rotation, than anybody else in Major League Baseball. Seattle's second. Seattle's allowed 19 homers this year, and the New York Mets starting rotation in 209 innings has allowed 13 home runs. They're not getting beaten, and they go to these multi-inning relief arms to bridge it to the 9th, and they're getting the job done, man. This might be the best team in the NL East.
And they have a farm system where they can go get guys. Maybe they go get another reliever, right? Maybe, some of these arms who are throwing a lot of innings in the bullpen, they start to slow down. Good.
Dude,
At the trade deadline, go get a reliever or two, and maybe you even add another starter. I mean, they could do whatever they want.
they've got some guys like Jonah Tong was an out shy of a 7-inning perfect game. He threw 99 pitches. Number one, crazy that they didn't let him go for 100 pitches and go for the 7-inning perfect game, but I rest my case. Nolan McLean looked untouchable in his AAA debut. They've got arms, and of course they have bats as well. So I'm with you, man. Like, they can bolster any deficiency there. They can go grab a closer at the deadline with a Tong, and it could be a straight up deal.
Did you see that they have also checked in on Luis Robert?
Yes, and that would make sense because the one glaring hole in their lineup is Tyrone Taylor and Siri in center.
Yep, and they don't exactly need Luis Robert to be the 2023 version. Just go play good defense and keep stealing bases. And then if you run into a couple of home runs, you're just going to help our lineup. Because it's not like they need him. They have plenty of bats at the front. So Luis Robert would just be the cherry on top. And then if he does get hot, you're going to roll. I think they definitely should be adding him at the deadline. I think that should almost be their number one priority, because clearly you can make it through with this pitching staff, or at least it's going to be solid. Go get Luis Robert, and they can do it.
No, number one, they could add him tomorrow. Like, I don't think the price for Luis Robert is going up anytime soon. Number two, because of the financial commitment to Luis Robert, it probably wouldn't cost a Tong or a McLean or a Gilbert or a Jet Williams. It might just cost like a Blade Tidwell and a little bit more.
Yeah, which they could do it and not really feel.
I think that was Bob Nightingale that floated the idea of Tidwell. They would not feel Tidwell leaving this team.
No. I mean, and again, if they have to trade one of those 4 prospects that you named, it's still okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to say, wow, you stole Luis Robert. The White Sox got a good deal. But at the same time, you wouldn't really feel any of those guys. It would stink, but it's palpable. I mean, they can make these. You can make a move for Luis Robert and go get a legit bullpen arm. Maybe Kenley Jansen from the Angels could be the guy that they go get as well. Maybe that's not more of a fit because he's definitely a closer, and as is Edwin Diaz, and you'd have to probably pay a closer price. But there are plenty of relievers that they can go grab.
There are options. Last National League headline that I want to give you. Somehow we're still not talking about Freddie Freeman enough. And I know this was a conversation in the Just Baseball text thread. Freddie Freeman so far this year through 30 games. He missed some time at the outset. After a 4-for-4 day in Arizona on Sunday with 2 doubles and a homer, through 30 games is slashing 376, 437, 734. That's an 1171 OPS. In 30 games, he has 20 extra base hits, 10 doubles, a triple, 9 homers. He's driven in 33, and he struck out just 20 times in 126 plate appearances. This guy might be putting up his best offensive year ever. And Freddie Freeman is not a spring chicken anymore. Freddie is 35 years old. He turns 36 before this season's up in the middle of September. And he looks like the best version of Freddie Freeman. And I'm not trying to pit the 3 future Hall of Famers against each other. Ohtani's the clear-cut one. I feel like it was Ohtani and Betts, Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman. Maybe it's just Ohtani, Freeman, and Betts. This one, it's crazy to say that, and Mookie's starting to heat up big time, but Freddie's approaching like all-time great first base category with what he's doing in his mid-30s.
He's phenomenal. And it's got to be tough for Braves fans knowing that Alex Anthopoulos didn't give him the 5th year, because he is currently on the 4th year of a 6-year deal, making about $22 million a year. And he's going to make about 23 next year and 23 the year after that. Would you pay Freddie Freeman $23 million over the next 3 years? I would, easily. So, that's a tough one. That's a tough one to swallow for Braves fans. He was a fan favorite, and now they see what he's doing in LA. So that's really tough. But, the Dodgers are just overwhelming. They're an overwhelming offense at the top. And a big reason why is if Mookie's starting to heat up, we can't forget Mookie Betts started the season losing 20 pounds due to an illness.
Yeah.
That's going to stink. That's really tough to continue to battle back, getting your body healthy enough So yes, the power has been down, the bat speed has been down. The general pop off the bat hasn't been quite there, but as he gets his legs back under him, he becomes Mookie Betts again. And then this Dodgers team, there's a reason they were lauded as one of the best teams maybe of all time, and they're playing like it right now. Of course, They went up against the D-backs this weekend, and the D-backs gave them hell because I think the Diamondbacks play the Dodgers the hardest of any team in baseball. The Padres are great, Giants are great. The Cubs have actually succeeded against the Dodgers this year. But if you ask Dodger fans, I'm sure they'd say Diamondbacks are their toughest battle. And the Dodgers are still the Dodgers. And Freddie Freeman is a big reason why.
No doubt. All right, we're going to get to the American League takeaways for Peter in a moment. Before that, quick break.
You started with the St. Louis Cardinals. Now I'm starting with the Minnesota Twins, who have also won 8 in a row. They took 2 out of 3 from the Red Sox at Fenway. They swept the Orioles at home. Then they sweep the San Francisco Giants at home. They've gone from 13-20 to 21-20, Jack, winning 8 straight. Big reason why? Harrison Bader is standing on his head. He's hitting .444 with a .261 WRC plus with a home run and 3 steals in 7 games during the streak, posting a 0.6 FWAR in 7 games. Byron Buxton has done the same thing, 0.6 FWAR in 8 games with 3 bombs, 9 RBIs, 7 runs. He's hitting 300. He's slugging 700 with a 187 WRC plus. Trevor Larnach has been awesome. Cody Clemens has been huge. Correa has been solid throughout this. And what, is interesting to look at is that the Twins have won 8 straight, even though Royce Lewis, who has returned, has been terrible. Negative 25 WRC plus, negative 0.2 FWAR through 6 games in this stretch. Joe Ryan, Bailey Ober, Chris Paddock, Pablo Lopez have all looked great. Yohan Duran has 5 saves in 6 appearances, only allowing 3 hits and no runs. What did I say about the Twins? But if you weren't with us at 13-20, I posted on Twitter, we don't want you at 21-20. So don't jump on now, Jack.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm just going to give
kidding.
you.
Please, can you? I'm alone here.
No, I'm not. I'm still a little gun shy, but I will say Joe Ryan is throwing like a legit all-star right now. He had a blow-up, 5 innings, 6 earned runs. He allowed 3 homers on April 20th in Atlanta. Since then, he started games at home against the Angels, in Boston, and at home against San Francisco. 7 scoreless innings, 11 punch-outs. 6 innings, a 1-run ball, 8 punch-outs. 6 innings, a 1-run ball, 7 punch-outs. So in his last 3 starts, he's gone 19 innings. He's allowed 10 hits, 2 runs on 2 solo homers. He's walked 2, and he's punched out 26, if I have this number right. 15 plus 11 is 26 in his last 19 innings with just 2 walks issued, and 2 earned runs. He's balling right now. And the offense, when there's some supplementary help there, can be dangerous.
And remember when we were talking about Hunter Brown and why we both felt he was set up for consistent success this season? You could look back at the second half of last year and then into this year, and it's very easy to see he's doing awesome. But when you're leading with your best pitch and that fastball, right? Hunter Green's fastball is a 10-run value. That's the best in Major League Baseball. And all everybody wants to talk about is Joe Ryan's sweeper, which has been diabolical. It's on Pitching Ninja every 5th day for a reason. But again, Joe Ryan has the 4th best pitch by run value in Major League Baseball. And it's not that sweeper, that slider. It's his 4-seam fastball, that low slot playing up at the top of the zone. Guys aren't touching that, and with his sweeper moving this much, this is the best Joe Ryan has looked. I know it's not a long stretch, but I'm watching stuff explode out of his hand. And just from watching him, it looks like the best version of Joe Ryan that we have seen in his entire career.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. And Duran is really starting to heat up too. He's closing games at will. I'm not bought in. I'm not, but I see exactly why I could be at some point.
That's all I need. All I need is for people to see the vision. I'm not crazy. This Twins team is pretty good, and they still have a shot, even though the entirety And I know it's so funny. Every American League team outside the Twins kind of had a bad weekend. Like the Tigers didn't play all that well. The Guardians lost that series to the Phillies. The Royals lost their series, even though they have been red hot. And the Twins just keep winning. This is a good division. Just point blank, it's a good division. Yeah, the White Sox are not very good. But the Twins can beat anybody, especially when they get hot. The Royals are clearly a good team. The Guardians are clearly a good team. And the Tigers have the best record in the American League. Pay attention to the American League Central. This is a good division. And it was last year, and it still is this year.
Yeah.
All right, let's move over to my next headline, which is Aaron Judge / Jason Dominguez. We'll start with Aaron Judge. He hit 500 this weekend with another 2 home runs, increasing his total to 14, tied with Schwarber for the MLB lead, and he's still hitting 409, which is 60 points better than second place Paul Goldschmidt at 349. Now, 409 is the third best start for a batting average since 2000 in their first 40 games. You want to do some trivia?
Sure.
Who is 1 and 2? It's going to be really, really tough. I'll be shocked if you get it. These are big-time players, but I don't think it's a hard trivia question. Who had the best 40-game start since 2000 when it comes to batting average? Just give me some of the first names that come off your head.
Ichiro comes to mind.
Not there.
I mean,
I'll give you a hint. I'll give you the team name.
okay.
Red Sox, Braves. 2001, 2008.
So 01 Red Sox, 08 Braves.
Correct.
Nomar?
Manny Ramirez.
Manny
Hit 412 in his first. He was a Cleveland Indian in 2000. And then imagine your first season, you get a free agent and he hits 412 in his first 40 games. So he's number 1. Next up, 2008 Braves. He hit 410.
Chipper,
410. Yeah. And then Aaron Judge is right there at 409.
Cool.
Pretty good company to be with. But let's continue.
Real quick, I was a year off on Nomar. Nomar in 140 games in 2000 hit 372 with a 1033 OPS.
Damn.
Nomar was awesome.
We'll keep going, though, with Aaron Judge. So he's got a 3.8 F4 right now, which means he is on pace to put up a 15.4 WAR season. That would be the best mark ever. Babe Ruth has the best 4 seasons ever when looking at F4, putting up a 14.7 mark in 1923, 13.7 in 1921, 13.1 in 1920, and 12.9 in 1927. Now rounding out the top 5, Barry Bonds in 2002 at 12.7. 15.4 WAR, Jack. We in on that or no?
I'd be in on that. And I'd be willing to start to entertain the conversation that he's the best right-handed hitter maybe ever.
And to put
we're looking at we're looking at, Pujols, Miguel Cabrera, numbers right now. Aaron was just a sake of longevity. I'm just thinking about the peak Miggy, peak Pujols. Judge is very much so approaching that.
I mean, Willie Mays has 3 10-win seasons. Judge is going to have that also.
And Mays did it because he was such a high-level defender, too.
Yeah. I mean, Aaron Judge is such a high-level defender, too. He's a great
defender.
He's a great defender.
But, this bat is borderline never before seen.
Yeah. And to put that 3.8 F4 mark in perspective through his first 40 games, if we look at last year's WAR leaderboards, if we just took Aaron Judge's season up to this point, he would have been the 39th best offensive player in Major League Baseball. Right alongside Trey Turner, Jackson Chourio, Jose Altuve, and Julio Rodriguez. All 4 of those players put up a 3.9 F4 all of last season. And they were all good players.
Yeah.
That's not just good names who had down seasons. A 4-win season is a good year.
It's a good season.
And he's done that in 40 games.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Unreal.
Let's go over to Jason Dominguez, who had a 3-homer day. Now he's second in WRC Plus among rookies who have played at least 30 games at 127, trailing 23-year-old Jacob Wilson and ahead of 22-year-old Christian Campbell. Large part, 948 OPS against righties. He is one of the better bats against right-handed pitching in all of Major League Baseball. Now, his right-handed swing against lefties is still work in progress, but one of his 3 homers this weekend was from the right side. He's just been awesome. 53% hard hit rate, which is higher than Austin Riley and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He's walking at an 11% clip, right? He has no range in the outfield, but he does have a cannon. And it's a work in progress because the guy is 22 years old. Everybody just gave up on him because he's getting compared to Mickey Mantle and Andrew Jones and all the best players ever, Mike Trout at 15 years old. That's not his fault. Blame sports publications for putting that moniker and those comparisons on him. Don't blame the player. So yes, he's been a prospect for a long time. We have to remember he is still just 22 years old. He's one of the younger players in baseball and is now second in WRC plus among all rookies, just to Jacob Wilson. This is a really good player. Is he going to be Mike Trout, Mickey Mantle one day? Probably not. Is he still going to be a really good player who's one of the Yankees' best players for a long time? Yes. Yes, he will be. This is real with Jason Dominguez.
No doubt. No doubt, man.
Anything else on that?
I don't think so. You kind of spit me a bunch of numbers. And I'm like, yeah, facts.
Yeah, all right, we'll take it. All right, let's move over. Let's move over to a guy who is about 13 years older and playing excellent baseball. Next headline, Blue Jays / George Springer. As Johnny Junta, who I love, pointed out on Twitter, the Blue Jays are 4-0 since we got a new pope, which includes a 3-game sweep over the Mariners this past weekend. Yeah. And that was a good series win. The Mariners had won their previous 8 series, and now the Blue Jays are back up to 500 at 20-20. And I keep waiting, Jack, for George Springer to slow down, but he just won't. 5 homers, 6 steals. He's tied with Fernando Tatis Jr. with the 8th best WRC plus at 163. He's not chasing at all. He's walking a ton. And when he does swing at pitches in the zone, he's posting the highest hard hit rate of his career. And he's spraying the ball to all fields, rocketing balls to right field, center field, left field, on a line. Everything is in the air. Now he's losing speed in the outfield, so his range is dissipating, but he's still able to make up for it on the base pass. George Springer. It's good to see an old guy just rake again. It makes me happy.
The renaissance of Springer is cool, and it's just kind of fun to watch the Jays right now. And I know that the Jays are not performing exceptionally well as it stands at the moment, but there are some guys that are just playing a little bit better than I was expecting them to play. Springer's one of them. To be honest, Varsho is one of them, just off the shelf real quick.
Since he's been back, he's been great.
Since he's been back, and like you say, great, a $194 doesn't look awesome, but he's had 3 homers in 9 games. He's been good. Listen, I've been tough on this guy, and a 716 OPS is not good enough, but Bichette has been better than I was expecting.
Thank you.
So there's just things that are taking the sour taste out of my mouth and making it a little bit sweeter about Toronto. Now, there are still some things that are pretty darn sour for me. Like Alan Roden coming up and being that bad was not on my bingo card. Andres Jimenez cooling off this much was not on my bingo card. And then there were a couple other guys too, like Bassett cooling off big time sucks. Bowden Francis so far, not great. Gausman has had some blow-ups. That's not great. It just feels like what they're doing is fun in spurts, not sustainable for 162.
What if I like them?
Then go ahead, man. You love the Twins. I think they're going to get hurt. They're all going to get hurt on the same game, and it's going to stink.
I will make it clear. I like the Twins more than the Blue Jays, but I see the vision. That's all I'm saying with some of these teams. Like, I see the vision. I get when you have a front 4 of Bichette, Vladdy. I know Santander has been terrible, but he will be better. And George Springer hitting the way he is with Varsho and Kirk. I see it in the lineup, especially with Addison Barger stepping up as well. So I see it. In the rotation, Barrios is still a stud. I still think Gausman is a stud. And yes, Bassett is cool in the butt. He's a solid pitcher, right? So you got a good front 3. And they're trying to work out who's going to be 4 and 5. I agree with you. Bowden Francis has not looked all that great, but he is coming off a pretty decent start against the Mariners. So hopefully he can build off that. And then now that you have Jeff Hoffman, you feel solidified in the 9th. And you got a couple other guys in their bullpen who have been solid too. So all I'm saying is I see the vision to being over 500. Did they make the playoffs? Probably not. Are they going to win the division? Definitely not. But are they going to be competitive in September? And are they going to be a team where another team needs to win in order to make the playoffs and the Blue Jays can go play spoiler? Absolutely. I think this is a solid team who can beat any team on any given day.
Yeah.
All right, let's go over to my next headline. The Devers DH drama. So we've heard so many quotes from him at this point. But the more I think about it, the Red Sox are just really putting him in a bad spot. It's one thing to ask him to DH for Alex Bregman, and it's another thing to ask him to move to first without much training and just tell him to pick it up and learn. I think about that Moneyball quote in the movie where Scott Hatterberg is asked to play first base and the coach goes, "It's incredibly hard to learn." And it is. Ken Rosenthal wrote in The Athletic, in reality, by agreeing to such a change in the middle of the season, Devers would risk injury, offensive regression, and embarrassment. And I couldn't agree with him more. Quotes were not ideal, but I love the honesty from Devers, and it just sucks that it gets turned sideways on social media, which is why, unfortunately, he should not be honest with the media ever again. But then the reason oh, no, go ahead. Do you have something to add?
No. I mean, I want to hear your rebuttal to what you just laid out because I'm going to fill in the cracks here.
Okay. The reason I wanted to bring it up is he proceeded to hit .583 this weekend with a home run and 6 RBIs. And amid the consistent media roller coaster, Devers has posted the highest WRC plus of his career at 146 after that slow start. Remember, everybody was up in arms about him not hitting. He's been phenomenal since. And you'd expect a hitter like Devers to kind of be over-aggressive. He's been over-aggressive before, so you'd think that maybe he's trying to make up for his comments by getting extra swing happy. It's been the complete opposite. He's chasing at the lowest rate of his career, and his walk rate has ballooned to 16%. He's not letting any of this affect his play on the field. And if anything, he's playing better than he ever has been. So I think he's been awesome. Feel free to fill in the cracks, though.
He's been awesome after that really rough start. He's an employee of the Boston Red Sox. He's a very highly paid employee of the Boston Red Sox, but he's an employee of the Boston Red Sox. And if the best situation for the team is Rafi Devers moving to first base, I think you should be a little bit more receptive to it than just immediately shutting it down and saying no and being honest.
I agree. But at the same time, I think Ken Rosenthal's quote makes a lot of sense. Like,
why is he bigger than the Boston Red Sox? Why is he bigger than the organization? Why is he bigger than the current president of baseball operations that was not the one that promised him that he was the third baseman? So why did we hear about that in spring training, and why are we hearing about it again? That's my clapback.
And I think it's a fair clapback. What I will say is it's fair for Breslow to be like, hey, we're getting Alex Bregman and we need you to DH. And he has. He's played all 42 games at DH this season. He has made that transition, and he's been hitting really well. And now you're asking him to play out of position in order to help the team. And he's probably just kind of shell-shocked because he was like, you already asked me to move off of the position that I've been playing my entire life to play DH. Okay, I'll do that. And now they're asking him now to play first base, when in reality, it's on the front office that you're talking about to add a first base piece. Like, Devers is not a first baseman.
Why would that happen when you could open up the DH spot for Roman freaking Anthony and you don't have to watch Abraham Toro play first base?
Well, Romy Gonzalez has been good, but I think he just hit the IL. No, I think it's not a perfect situation for either.
No, it's not. That's why you deviate, man. Like the Dodgers not having a shortstop was not a perfect situation. So they asked a future first ballot Hall of Famer to play shortstop, and Mookie said, hell yeah, let's do it.
But I think
it was not a perfect situation in Houston. They asked Jose Altuve, a future first ballot Hall of Famer, to play left field, and he said, hell yeah, let's do it. What makes Devers better than Mookie Betts and Jose Altuve?
All I'm saying is it's hard to do so in the middle of the season. It's one thing, especially in the Altuve thing, where they say, all right, you're going to be playing left field. Get ready in the offseason to do so. Who was the other name? Mookie Betts, right? We're going to need you to play shortstop. And Mookie Betts has been moving positions his entire career, so he's not used to it. He's completely
the best right fielder some people have ever seen.
I agree with you, but he has played multiple positions. He came up as an infielder. Rafael Devers doesn't play first base. So I think those two situations are a little bit different. I'm not saying that Devers is in the perfect light right now. He should be a little bit more, willing to move positions. And what I am saying is that I do appreciate the honesty. Like I do. We never get honesty from players. That's what I'm saying, while also acknowledging that moving positions mid-season can hurt his offensive production and could allow him to maybe get injured more easily than he more often would, learning a new position. And of course, it sucks just standing at a position that you don't really know how to play. And if you embarrass yourself in front of that crowd, that's also not going to work for you too. And he probably feels that
He's
moving over to
Rafi
first.
Devers. Are you worried about embarrassment? Kyle Schwarber played first base for the Boston Red Sox 3 years ago.
And it was embarrassing.
Yeah, but he's Kyle Schwarber, so nobody remembers that. Like, Devers is a $300 million player. He's getting paid to hit. And I think it should be as simple as, hey, Rafi, option A, you play first, the top prospect in all of baseball DHs. Or option B, you play DH, the top prospect in all of baseball stays in AAA, and Abraham Toro plays first base.
Well, actually,
Which one do you feel like you win more games with? And if Rafi says B, okay.
I understand what you're saying. To further your point as well, forget Roman Anthony entirely. Masataka Yoshida is going to come back and he could play DH too. So then Rafael Devers can move to first. So what I am saying to further your point is that they have a major league piece ready to take that DH spot, and they have a minor league piece ready to take that DH spot as well. So I understand where you are coming from. Absolutely. What I will say is I also understand where Devers is coming from. And there's been a ton of negativity thrown his way. So that's why I wanted to bring up and highlight how well he has been playing offensively, especially, obviously, because he's DHing every single time, and that it is tough to move positions. I hope everybody just can acknowledge that. But I get where you're coming from.
It's tough to move positions, but I think Devers needs to do what's in the best interest of the Boston Red Sox.
Yes. And I'm sure he eventually will, right? Because these quotes came out, and then he did eventually move to DH. Quotes come out, he might eventually move to first base and be okay.
Yeah.
He's an honest guy. I don't mind it. All right, let's move over to another one, which is very negative. But I really wanted to bring it up because I think it has to do with stupid gamblers. And as a gambler myself, I want to speak to them. And I'm talking about the Lance McCullers Jr. backlash. So what happened with the Astros pitcher? He allowed 7 earned runs and was removed after getting 1 out in a 13-9 loss against the Reds on Saturday, and then received death threats for him and his children after the game. What type of loser, scumbag do you have to be to go after someone's children after one bad outing in the regular season in May? Especially a pitcher who's working his way back from injury, where this is only his second start since the 2022 World Series. Mind you, he threw 3 2/3 shutout in that first outing. And it must be gamblers, because I cannot see actual fans of the Astros doing something like this, knowing Lance McCullers Jr.'s history. So to those gamblers, suck it up, take responsibility for your losing picks, and don't let our sport become the NFL and the NBA or even college basketball, college football, where our players have to look at their DMs to see hundreds of death threats from morons who lose their parlay. Be better than that. And now it might be sprinkling in Astros fans. And what the hell are you guys doing? But I just cannot believe that it is. I think it's it's gamblers who either bet on Lance McCullers Jr. props or bet on the Astros money line and got their money taken away from him, because you don't go after a guy with death threats to children unless you were monetarily involved. I can't imagine it's Astros fans, especially knowing Lance McCullers Jr. passed. I thought it was just despicable, absolutely despicable. And I do not want our sport to have to deal with that the same as others.
I've got literally nothing to add to that. Regardless of what they were doing, whether they were gamblers or whether they were Astros fans, scum of the earth human beings, and you should have, I don't know, your social media accounts rescinded, and there should be, charges pressed against those people. But just really horrible stuff. And hope Lance and his family are doing okay. I just really, really unfortunate.
Horrible. So that was my last one, but I also have a bonus one because I didn't want to end on such a negative note.
Sure, yeah, a little positive flair.
Here's a positive note. Josh and Jace Young. Before the game, Mary Young, their mother, delivered the game ball with their boys to the mound. Rangers versus Tigers this past weekend. They played a fun game of tic-tac-toe at third base on Mother's Day, and then Josh hit a 2-out, 2-run home run in the fifth to make the day even more special. This is a quote from Mary Young, who said in an interview with the Rangers telecast, "My heart is just exploding. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better Mother's Day gift. We're all in the same place to begin with, but then to watch them live their dream, do what they love to do, I couldn't be more proud." That made me smile.
It is cute. I love that. Shout out Josh and Jace Young, man. And I got to chat with Jace Young for the call-up last year. Such a nice guy. Really cool. And I've heard Josh is a really nice guy as well. So, no, it's those moments like that that are really cool. And the Rogers brothers sharing a bullpen with San Francisco for as long as they did. That's really cool. I remember the Corey Kyle Seager thing. That was awesome. And the Josh and Jace Young thing, just another great iteration in this whole deal.
Absolutely.
So,
ready for my last word?
Yes. I was going to say real quick, we had a couple of guys. We had Cade Horton debut on Saturday for the Cubs. We had Jordan Lawler recalled on Monday by Arizona. We're going to save kind of those overarching. Let's give you the 4-1-1 of those players and the takeaways from the debuts. We'll save that for a little bit later on in the week. But yeah, give me your last word.
So, another history fact.
Okay.
I was learning more about the Eiffel Tower this weekend. And it's kind of interesting. The Eiffel Tower was built with a small room at the top that was supposed to be for the guy that designed it. He was going to live in there. But instead, it became a tourist spot, and there's just 2 mannequins sitting there. It's the designer. Yeah, it's the designer of the Eiffel Tower and Albert Einstein. Isn't that weird?
That is weird. Why would Einstein be involved?
I don't know.
That is kind of cool, though. I just Googled some images of this. Inside the Eiffel Tower's speakeasy-style apartment, there's a really bad-looking rug there, too. And they've got bad-looking wallpaper and some photos. Looks like maybe a record player and a chessboard. And yeah, it's just the designer of the Eiffel Tower and an Einstein mannequin. That's funny.
It's not weird. Why?
Great article on Condé Nast Traveler about all this. That's fun.
Another quick fact about the Eiffel Tower: it actually grows during the summer because the metal expands. So if you see the Eiffel Tower in July, it's going to be slightly bigger than if you see the Eiffel Tower in December.
It's like your tires. Your tires are slightly more inflated when it's warm outside, just because air is going to expand a little bit, or the rubber is going to expand a little bit, and the metal will expand. That's fun. So that one I can get behind, but I had no idea there was this little bunker up there for a couple of mannequins.
And I think it's funny, too, that the guy was supposed to live in there, but instead he was like, I'm going to create a mannequin of myself.
Gustav.
That's like me making a building and then for myself to live in at the top, and then just having myself and Jalen Brunson or something.
Sure. Are you fired up, Nick's tape?
So fired up. I mean,
Einstein's not random. It's like your hero. It's like you and a Jeter mannequin.
That's still weird.
It's definitely weird. It's definitely weird.
If I told you, Jack, I made this building, I was supposed to live in it, but instead I'm going to just put a mannequin of myself and Derek Jeter.
When were the mannequins placed? Did Gustav Eiffel decide that the mannequins were in there, or did he pass and then people were like, oh, maybe we should pay homage to Gustav?
There is a decent chance that it had nothing to do with the actual designer that they just did it. But it's way funnier to imagine that guy doing it.
For sure. It's absolutely funnier, but I just don't know if it's historically accurate.
It might not be historically accurate. I just wanted to mention it because I thought it was funny, and that'll do it for this episode of the Just Baseball Show. Again, apologies for not having a normal weekend roundup on Monday, but we will have 4 episodes like normal this week. So today, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you will get an episode in your podcast feed. And the best way to support the podcast, rate and review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, 5 stars. Leave a written review if you would be so kind. And if you do want to join the best baseball group chat in the world, of course, it's $10 to join. The Discord has been so much fun. You go get yourself some Just Baseball merch as well. I'm rocking the athletic tee. I'm rocking the hat. Also, be on the lookout on our Instagram and on our Twitter. We are doing a giveaway with Titan Bats. We're giving away a torpedo bat. We'll post graphics both on Instagram and on Twitter as a celebration of hitting 25,000 followers on Twitter and 40,000 followers on Instagram. So be on the look for that. That will be posted this week. It'll be a very easy way to join in. You don't have to spend anything. It's just liking and following these accounts in order to enter into the Titan Bat giveaway. So again, be on the lookout for that at Just Baseball Show on Instagram, at JustBB_media on Twitter. Anything else before we say goodbye?
I don't think so. See ya.
So with that, thank you, everybody.